All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to the Sunday little coffee clutch. Got my beverage of choice. God, it's a humid day today.
Welcome Andy242 to the stream.
Andy, wie geht's? Wie geht's? Was tun wir leider?
Steve, someone has joined the chat on YouTube.
And metal music, Leoman. Caffeinated Lennox. I guess my going live stuff has worked.
Welcome Lehman79X to the stream.
What's up, Leo? How are ya? Well, Andy, I found out, so I've been using this excellent, that's all working. Excellent. Hello, Tyler. Hello, Andy. Hello, Leo. Hello. Welcome to the stream. So I've been using this, it's called Better Stream Announcements. So over on the Windows side, I use one that's made by Mustache Maniac that works really well. But for some reason on Linux, I think because in his setup, he has it looking for some Windows files that I probably have to look at. But Better Stream Announcements, I've stopped working. I don't, he's done some updates and I don't know if that was the issue. But I also noticed that. So if you're watching going, Steve, I hate that at everyone on Discord. Well, you know what? All right. I thought I just set it up for my StevesVeryOwn group that said they would like to be notified. But, it's like, hey. And then my Blue Sky announcement. I use one by Tommy. It's like I have to update the key or something every once in a while. So, I'm glad how that's working in that. So let me get some. Do we want to listen to smooth jazz? Do we want to listen to coffee music? Is that what we want to listen to? I don't know. What do we want to listen to this morning? And of course, it's going to be over on Twitch that you'll hear the music. And Andy, since you're, I'm going to have you test out something. God, I hate waking up in the morning. That I've been working on that is going to be for me and specific users. I'm going to have you test that out in a little bit. So, for those who are just watching, the Sunday Coffee Clutch. What's a coffee clutch? Well, yep. I made some Philly cheesesteak sandwiches last night. Didn't have any steak, but I used some stew meat. Actually, it was pretty good. It was pretty good because I made Italian sausage sandwiches, so we had some rolls left over. So that and a bunch of onion rings. Had some onion rings. So Andy, you going swimming in the Danube? Can you go swimming in the Danube? Anybody see it over in Europe? The Danube is at its lowest level, I think, in almost history. That ships from World War II that the Germans had sunk are coming to this. Well, are being revealed, and a lot of unexploded munitions. Caffeinated Linux has got a buddy butt farting emoji. Nice. I'll have to steal that from you. Yeah, some of the old stuff surfaced. The best emote combo ever. Okay, let's see. How about happy alt rock? Give me that. We'll start off with that this morning. We'll see what this is like. We'll do a shuffle here. News headline reads, and suddenly there's a bazooka. Shouldn't have touched that. Shouldn't have touched that bazooka. I'll tell you, it is humid here, or this weekend has been bad. It's only 74 out. I went and picked some blackberries from the bush. Oh my God, I just was outside for 10 minutes and I am sweatier than Andy with his girlfriend. And it's going to be in the mid 80s plus today. The weather, most of the rain has been going south, but the clouds are over this way. But we get just enough rain to just keep picking up that humidity. Humidity was at 94% yesterday. Wow. We're going to, probably exceed that today. But so I'm upstairs and, hopefully you guys don't hear the ceiling fan. I got it on medium right now just to cool me off a little more. Holy cow. So what has been happening this week? What has been happening, Andy? How you been? And Tyler and Leo. Leo, good to see you again. So this week I was working on something that I want to do. There are a couple of these.
Here is the right monitor boss.
Oh my God, I didn't say right monitor, but it must have been reading my mind. Did I? Oh yeah, I also been working on a mind thing. I have not updated to StreamerBot 107 because it's not working properly on Linux. It's hit and miss right now. So I tried it. I've gone back to 104. And I think there's also an update a couple updates that happen in bottles that it's actually running really, really slow when you first go in here. And I'm having problems with the chat window. The dark version is really bad. But I might have to, I think it updated to Soda 11, and I was running this on 9, so I might have to roll back. But I started working on a to-do list generator, and there is Pomoro that's out there. There's another one I was using, but the problem with those is you got to constantly, update the token, and there's a lot of bells and whistles in there that I don't. The Pomodoro thing, it's got the timer. And it's got the checklist and a to-do list. And I just wanted kind of like a to-do list to work, like when we're on stream and, I wanted to add stuff in that. There's a bunch of simple ways to do it, but I wanted it in the stream. And I was working on it. I installed Exeldro's plugin, the HTML source, which gives you a chance to use some light HTML, because you can't use a lot of full HTML, CSS in browser sources in OBS. It's not a full-fledged browser. So you got to adapt it a little bit. And the Exeldro's HTML source is the same. And you got to use like a little bit of older HTML, CSS, and it does just fine. But the thing about it is it looks at that HTML file like, you can set the timer, but right now it's like every 300 milliseconds. So if I write to that HTML file, it pretty much like is immediate. It shows up on that. So I was working on a to-do list. And whereas with Pomodoro, or like the one I was using, Andy, remember when you would add a task and it would have Andy and that? I have something like that too, and it's not going to be for everybody because I don't, not that I don't trust everybody, but it's going to be for some specific users for the beginning, and that it's not going to cost any points or anything like that. But I was working on that this week, and yes, I did use some Gemini to help me with it. But I was getting there okay. It helped me to finish it. It wasn't perfect. Task delete all, yes. But it's not task. So I don't give me a task list. If you give me a task, I won't do it. But a to-do list, I'm used to a to-do list. My wife gives me a to-do list, which is basically a task list, but you know, this is to do, right? Pretty close. You got it. Let's see. Let's see if that works. I don't have it on auto yet. Oh, look at that. Look at that. I added Andy's name to it. So it's going to be for subscribers or those who have subscribed, and in the beginning for those to add to it and that. So very simple on the setup and that. So I did it in chalk and, a chalkboard. Like in class, here's your to-do list. And it will get numbered. But you notice that you do have your name in there, to do wipe chalkboard. So it is, you do two things. I probably can work this in. It's pretty quick. It goes through StreamerBot. I got it set up with StreamerBot. I got it set up with some C#, some coding. Writes to a HTML file that I have. The HTML source reads it, and it's like pulling it every 300 milliseconds in that. And then it's so it's now so that's what I'm gonna have to work out. Oh, I didn't hit thank you, Andy. I hit 1, not the command. Yes, I am a great streamer and a great programmer. And then oh no, not clear done. Clear list, and that's it. That should be it. That should be it. Oh my God, Steve. This is what sucks about getting old. Leo, you know this. Clear to do. There we go. And it refreshes the HTML and pretty much erases everything. So I don't know. I was thinking, do I need to strike through like if we completed something or a check? But this is stuff that I've been thinking about. I wanted just something relatively simple. There are some real easy ways to do this. I could have just with this gone into the HTML and edited the HTML, But let me show you what my HTML looks like. So this is what it's just really, really simple. Yeah, that's why I just wanted to see, Andy. I made 3 commands and I remembered one of them. And you figured out the other one. My wife is just heard the printer going. So basically, it's just like a template and that, and then when you do, it will just add to this. So actually, let me show you what I originally had. Oops. This is like the original. So if I wanted to add a task manually, I would have to get in here and type the task. Now this isn't going to refresh. It's not connected. Type. I would have to do this and then hit save, which, and then it would update in the HTML. No closing body tags. It actually works. It does. So it won't work while it's open. So if I'll just discard this for now. So let's go back to the to-do. We'll add this in there. See how pretty quick that was. Now if we bring up over to the right monitor. And see, that's what it I have a write to file over in StreamerBot that sends it over, and it has already a pre-designed stuff, and it just adds the tag into there. So the line itself does has. I'm American and I can talk, I tell ya. Does have closing tags. The HTML body that does not. Does has. I tell you, it does has. America does has the best military. So, and then each line is, each task is then added on to here. And basically I have it set up to where it will write the file. So it's actually, so the write the file is append. That's why it keeps adding on. And then the refresh, the clear the list is actually a full write of this, and it writes the top portion, but clears the bottom. So that's what I started working on this week. That way I can have a little bit, add a little bit more team play for certain people to make them feel. I want you to feel important, Andy. I know you're important. You're an important person. And then during the week, what was the last week? I redid my music player. been playing around with a lot of HTML, CSS because it works pretty well with OBS and that. So, but I really wanted to try to get to learn C#. It's not, to me, it's not easy, and I did need help with it. But you know what? So did I. It didn't get, and the people over at StreamerBot are going, well, AI knows nothing about StreamerBot. I'm potent to write to-dos. Yes, you are. So I could have just added on a screen and other, but I just figured I'll just do a chalkboard kind of thing. And I could set up I can set up the clear to list to clear completely after the stream, but I don't think I necessarily have to. Just manually when I need to. So try to keep the mind going a little bit. Originally, I just had a very simple with basically just 3 actions that had Twitch target info, which actually pulls info from YouTube, and then raw input, and then they would get written to file, but I didn't have a way to erase and all that. So my idea was to make a control page HTML with the boxes and all that, to be able to do it that way. But I think this works out pretty well. To do, let's see, did that work? Yes, it did. To do, use StreamerBot as a database and loop over the database items with JavaScript or so. I guess it doesn't write the lines completely. So if it's too long, let's see, or is that the way? Let me look at the file. Okay, so on the HTML itself, it did write your whole comment. And then you see in this popped up, if this file is open, it's not updating, or the file is updating, but it's not showing on here. So I guess, okay, I'll have to see if I can write in something there. Here we go. Add CSS to have lines wrap in the, yeah. Yes, Meadowline, still am on Endeavor. Sorry, I'm being really rude. I'm eating a slice of banana bread because I was hungry. I haven't had breakfast yet. So the whole comment goes into the HTML file, but for some reason, the HTML source plugin isn't seeing that. So I'll probably have to, yeah, well, try to look at that. And there you go, Andy. That's why I got you. You found a bug. I don't have all my scenes on here yet, so let's see. We didn't see the boo. Let me add scene. Boo! There you go. I haven't added all my stuff to this particular scene yet. And I do have the music player hiding up here. I didn't know how much I wanted to put on this scene. And then I have to add this scene to my deck and then my voice command and that. So, that's, was my idea to do. Let me check. Yeah. So the command's not for everybody. Sorry, Leo. No. One of the ladies that my wife works with gave her some banana bread. But yeah. So for this is not something that I would put on the StreamerBot site. I probably could, but if anybody that sees this wants and uses StreamerBot, you would just have to change your location, where the file is in that. I can send it to you. I don't mind. If you are totally, I saw a comment the other day. I cannot ethically and morally use AI. I get it. It's worth having the discussion, but sometimes, for my personal use, it's a combo of my ideas, my thought process, me having to figure out where the bug is, which we went through several iterations before it even worked, which is helping me learn OBS's StreamerBot's C# code. So it keeps this going. AI data centers drink all the water. So I saw a special on that the other day, a story that the data centers actually do not use. I mean, they probably use a little less than what they're saying they use, but what's using the more water? The power plants that are powering the data center. So it's not just using AI. So it should be combined together, but they don't do that. And here, so you're probably lucky being in Europe that, the government steps in a lot and says, no, you guys can't do that. Only 8 states in the US, and they're pretty much all blue states, as we would call them, require full disclosure from those companies putting up data centers, how much water the data center is going to use. The rest, like mostly the red states, do not. Hey, make our people poorer and make them more thirstier. That's okay. We don't care. You're giving us money. So I don't know if I do one of those local on my system, which is not full powered. Would that be better? I don't think it would be as helpful. Although I guess maybe can you create one an AI model that would pretty much do all C# stuff. Would that be, is that? So hate me, piss on me, whatever. I wonder, Gemini has a introductory offer where you can have 2 times the speed and a little bit more storage. And it starts out at $1.29 US a month for 3 months, and then it's $4.99 a month. Leo says the data center designs could be so much better, but they don't want to because it takes longer and doesn't pollute as much. Because, the United States is not a good product unless there's 10 tons of pollution. There's special models for programming, yes, Gemini and all are just general purpose, I think, yeah. So, I don't know. If it's been a while. I years ago, in the advent of the internet and certain programs you can get, I had Dreamweaver for, and I really, it was a WYSIWYG, but you can also do the coding and all that. And I played around with making very little, websites because at the time, Xfinity or Comcast before they became Xfinity, I think they had GeoCities, or was GeoCities just out there? I know I used GeoCities, I used the Comcast one, and I made little websites, and it was kind of what I'm doing now. And front page was a thing back then, yeah. So I found a couple of programs that I can use on Linux. Let's see. You can use, on GNOME, there's a GNOME, it's a GNOME app builder. It's called Builder, but it reads text and HTML files and that, so you can do HTML stuff in that. But I also found, of course, I can't remember the name of it, so I got to look through my apps here. Oh, it's called Playhouse. It's a very lightweight, in a way, HTML, CSS, JS program. And you can't export. It automatically saves what you're doing. So if you wanted to save that particular setup, you have to copy and rename it or paste it to another editor, which is kind of stupid. But I just need basic stuff to make sure what I'm creating shows up right. Again, browser source, or like Exeldro's HTML source. It's not a full-fledged browser. And I think the versions are like from, in a way, Ceph is 20, like in 2025. 2 years is, a year or two. Actually, 2024, I think, is what I saw. So it's like 2 years behind. But, very basic HTML is fine. It adds to the stream, But then, I made this with HTML. My lower third that comes out here, that's HTML. Leo says, but did you use Front Page Express? I missed the Express version of things so bad. Yeah, I forget I think I had Dreamweaver 4. I would just sit there and make stuff in that. So my HTML stuff, I mean, I never took official classes or that. So some of it, it's slowly coming back. But it's just fun creating stuff. And Metal used Front Page Express and created a dog racing website back in the day. Was it rough? So I definitely don't, I guess it would be a nice to have. I wonder if I can try it for a month. But I'm a boomer. We destroy societies, right? According to Gen Z and that. But it's fun. I like building stuff. Dogs can race. How'd they get a license? It was pretty rough. Oh, brother. So, but I venture now that I can start dipping my toes. I can, like I said, there's a lot of um good software out there that you can use with StreamerBot or what Mustache Maniac, Andy Lippy, Tommy, Pony. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can get from the StreamerBot site or find their web pages for some of these developers. And some of their stuff is good, some of it's simple and it's good, but you know what? It's also great to be able to try to do it yourself because then you can I can now is it expunge? No. I can expand on the to-do list and change that into a request list or something like that. I can change up the formatting a little bit and I can add to it. Interesting tidbit too, Metal says. I also discovered that you could play network DOS games such as Doom over a parallel cable, such as Doom. You just had to tell a game to collect through port 378H. Okay. It was great if you didn't have network cards. One of the things I've been wanting to do, but for some reason, I don't know if I know it's not my network. I've used it for years. Teleport. Could be my wimpy laptops. I'm trying to get back to using teleport because what I would like to do is I would like to do maybe a cooking show from time to time. And I can take a laptop downstairs, my router's downstairs, so it would be a little quick, and send the stream, like you put the camera on my laptop, not use my laptop camera because that sucks, but add the camera and OBS and basically just stream that up to the desktop here, and that would go out to the stream. Because then, because being Wi-Fi, I could take my tablet and do my changes here on the tablet. You have to pick Junior up for the gym. Have a great Sunday. Okay, Andy, take care. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for helping me find the bug. Always appreciate it. Always appreciate it, my friend. You take care. Oh, before you go, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? Is it pizza night? So, but yeah, it's fun. And if, one thinks that I'm a talentless bum that I need to do I need help, well, whatever. At least I can, I'm using it as a tool because I'm a tool. I'm a real tool. So, um, what else? We haven't really watched as far as last I think I don't know, did I talk about it last week? Last Friday we went to see Spider-Man. Brand New Day. It says, do computers still have parallel ports? No, but they have parallel processing. I think most don't. Well, I guess it depends. I think I have a parallel port in these laptops because they're so old, and then the desktop has one. But we went to see Spider-Man Brand New Day last Friday, and I enjoyed it. And that I personally, I love John Berthnall's Punisher, but it would just been to me that much better if they had Daredevil in there instead of Punisher. And they could have found someone else to shoot Peter at the end, but I think it would have just been so much better. But it was enjoyable. It was a good movie. It was put together really well. The effects are pretty good. The web slinging effects, because they're more practical now. The fact that now, this Peter is like Peter, with the organic web shooters. And he's mutating, but that happened in the comics, I guess. But that was pretty good. I saw the previews. They've been releasing more previews on Doomsday. It's looking much better. And then they released a full trailer on the new Vision series, which I don't have Disney anymore. So I'll have to wait till hopefully it comes out on DVD. But that actually looks pretty good. And Ultron. James Spader is back as Ultron in Vision. And the new Vision has set up his own world. And Ultron, since Ultron was the original Vision's basically daddy, he's still in the Vision's mind. And he yells at Vision yells at Ultron, in this world, use your human icon or emoji or whatever. And he turns into James Spader, old James Spader with the beard and everything. I love James Spader. He's right up there with Jim Kirk. God, I can't believe I forget names so badly. Oh. But that looks pretty good. My wife often brings movies home from the library, and she brought home Pressure, the one about the D-Day invasion. And Brandon Fraser played Eisenhower, and Andrew Scott played a weather guy. Good acting. I mean, I like Andrew Scott, especially from these Sherlock days. He's a pretty good actor. But how intense can they make a weather movie. Well, we've all seen Twister and Twisters, right? But this is pre, you know, weather reporting and weather prediction was really at its infancy. But it's a pretty decent movie. I think if you like that kind of stuff, I would recommend it. That's what I did enjoy it. I am Brandon Fraser as Eisenhower. I don't know, but if he's gonna redo, because they're gonna finally do Mummy 4, and he's coming back. Of course, he's much older now, and he's way out of shape. I wonder how they're gonna work that out. I shouldn't talk about being out of shape, but I'm not an actor. But I did stay in a Holiday Inn once. The audiobook I was listening to this past week or so, I've been on um, uh, a I don't know if you could call it binging. Yeah, binging in audiobooks. But the author, the Danish author, Jussi Adler Olsen, he does the Karl Malk, the Department Q series. And I'm up to I just finished book 7. And they're pretty good. This one actually was one of the better ones. And I've been in line for Craig Johnson's Longmire, his latest new book. I should probably just get the hard copy, but I don't. I have plenty of time, but if I start reading, I stop doing. When you read, you stop doing stuff. So that's why at least with audiobooks, and I'll lose my spot here and there. But I can do stuff, mow the lawn, and or work around the house, or listen to it in the car when I'm driving the son around. But I started out, and Craig Johnson, Longmires are very popular. Excuse me. I started out several weeks back, almost 2 months ago, 56th in line, and now I'm 10th. And they have a total of 4 books. So the libraries, the Libby, I get it through Libby, and Libby gets it through the libraries. And some libraries will add more digital copies, but they treat it just like a book, and a person can only take it out at a time, unless they have more copies. So I'm 10th in line. It still says several weeks before I'll get it. I like Craig Johnson. I love the Longmire books. They remind me a lot of Robert B. Parker and Spencer in a way. The way that they're written real easy. They're if you're reading it, it's really easy to read. But Johnson's never really done a spin-off. It's all been about Longmire. What else? So far, America's still here. That's a joke, but it's still here. Well, if you don't like this country, move. No, it's my country too, so fuck you, I don't want to get too political, but it's just every day there's just something else that this administration is doing that is really dumb. And unfortunately, it's affecting most of the world, so we have that going on. What else? I haven't touched my Windows setup in a week or so because I was working on like the to-do list and a couple other things on my Linux side. But I so far have um, ported over my setup from Linux over to Windows. Tuesday, I talked about on a stream, like if you're on, if you're on Windows and you're moving to Linux, or you're moving around your system, especially like we'll say going from Windows to Linux, there are things that are not going to be. All the plugins are going to pretty much work the same, although you're not going to get all the same plugins. Majority of the plugins that you can get on Windows are for Linux too. But there's certain ones that are, if that I see that people use, I can't name any off the top of my head, are strictly Windows only. But a couple of things that don't work, you can't keep your audio set up and have from Windows and expect it to work in Linux because it uses two different audio systems, right? And then the same with like display Windows capture, totally different from Windows to Linux. Does the same thing, but totally different, the setup and all that. So when you port stuff over, you should you can leave all your scenes, you can leave majority of your setup. You do have to remove all your audio sources, your mic, your desktop capture, whatever, your capture of certain apps, your application captures, all your display Windows captures, you gotta just delete those. I found this out the hard way that I did. I just, when I was doing my Endeavor, going back to Endeavor and doing my stuff, I just took my setup from Windows and moved it over. Well, because I use majority of the same plugins and all that. Well, of course, the audio didn't work. Display capture, window capture didn't work. And why I was in there and I tried to delete it, OBS would crash. That's why you want to remove it. But you don't want to rebuild your whole system, your whole setup if you don't have to. But it's real easy to add audio back in and add your display capture and all that back in. So I did the opposite. Because what I did in my Linux setup is I renamed stuff to make it easier to find and more organized. Stuff that I attempted to do, but I haven't done. And I didn't want to rebuild my Windows side, so I took out audio and capture and all that on the Linux side. Now I got things set up. They worked. Nothing crashed. Now I just have to add my audio and my display captures and Windows captures, application captures all back in. So I'll work on that next week. I can continue just streaming this way, but I like going back and forth because I like learning about both Windows and Linux with OBS and StreamerBot. So that's what I've been working on, kind of tech-wise, trying to get that set up right. Because let's face it, I mean, when it comes down, especially if you do a lot of elaborate streaming or have a lot of actions and things like that, you really can't beat Windows. Sorry, Linux users, I've come pretty close with my setup here. It's only a matter of time for Linux to reach the same as Windows 2. Well, I mean, you have to have a different mindset coming over from Windows to Linux. I mean, you just do. I've talked to people, or chatted with people personally.
Welcome, Zebedee Boss, to the stream.
Oh my God! Hello, mate. Welcome, Zeb. How are you? I hope all is well in your part of the world. I see too many comments in the OBS forum, especially in the Linux side, where, oh, why doesn't OBS work the same as Linux and Windows? They had no idea what they just couldn't move up to Windows 11. They're tired of Windows and they just come over to Linux and boom, shit don't work. They don't kind of do due diligence and check things out. But then, it's like, well, why don't these things work? Why don't programmers or developers or whatever port the stuff over? I had someone make a comment that that someone really needs to work on getting Adobe on Linux. That's not just someone, that's Adobe, and they are not going to do that. Hot and Bothered just had to walk to do some basic shopping. Yeah, you guys have, Europe has been hit with some good heat waves. We are hot and humid today. Here it is, 9:45 in the morning, and we're already at 76 Fahrenheit or 22 C. And most of the rain has been going south of us, but the cloud cover is still coming, and the humidity is just horrible. It was like 94% humidity yesterday. But we had 36 C on Thursday. And we were just talking earlier about like the heat wave in Europe. The Danube is at its lowest peak, and here we've had so much rain that we're, was it about 10 miles away? Maybe a little further. 10 or so miles away from a relatively major river. It's not one of the huge, it's not like the Mississippi, but we're near the Fox River. And actually, we crossed the bridge over it yesterday. And it's pretty high. We've had so much rain. So much rain. And here the Danube is drying up. All the ships that Zeb sunk in World of Warships are being revealed in the Danube. I think I'm funny. But no, we have no weather changing happening in the world. But yeah, it's gonna be. We haven't had a non-humid day in a couple of weeks now. The grass, I mean, it's been great for the grass. My garden. Oh my God, the tomatoes. I can't make enough tomato stuff. I've been making some fresh pico de gallo because I also have some jalapenos growing, and the jalapenos are nothing like homegrown jalapenos, I tell you. You always know those are going to be a bit hot. And then, so I've been making pico de gallo, and then I've been making a bruschetta, tomato and garlic and basil, because I got fresh basil growing too. In fact, I made I grilled some chicken, and I made a bruschetta grilled chicken. Oh, it was so tasty. And then I made took a flour tortilla with some Gouda cheese, some really Gouda cheese with some of the bruschetta in it. But the tomatoes are just so flavorful. My green peppers are growing like crazy. Jalapenos are banana peppers, so I got to pull. I don't know if I'll get out there today because it's just miserable outside. I have a bunch of banana peppers that I plan to slice up and pickle so we can put them on sandwiches. Zeb says we just had our driest July in history in the UK with just 6.5 millimeters of rainfall recorded. And here we've had our wettest. Usually in the last few years, April, May, and a bit of June, lots of rain. And then July and August, dry. The garden dries up. It just gets really bad. In England, not the UK. Okay. The grass is just growing. The garden is just, like I said, it's just. I do have to do some cleanup. I think the storms and that, although the tomatoes and they love the storms, the lightning and that, because a real thunder, good thunderstorms produce some really good lightning, which produces a lot of nitrogen that falls down with the rain, and plants just love that. My raspberry bush has been very fruitful. All my garden stuff is just going really good. Because Scotland is always wet. There you go. Them Scots. Oh, my StreamerBot chat is just so slow now. It actually shows up on my screen before it shows up in my chat. Something changed. Something changed. But yeah, and I like making pickled jalapenos with carrots, celery, and onion. So I'll get the heat of the jalapenos. I've talked about this many times in that, but I don't do a full pickle. It's something that you can't just put away. I do a quick pickle because I don't have all the equipment for a full pickling. And I'll usually eat the peppers in about 2 weeks anyways. They last, safely about 2 weeks. But I plan to do that with some banana peppers to add them to sandwiches. I've given some tomatoes and jalapenos to my neighbor. I've got so many. My wife has taken some to work. But the storms have broke some branches, some of the branches on the tomato plants and that. So certain branches are browning. I got to clean them up a little bit. It's just been too hot. You dropped a CCTV shot of my front lawn. Okay. Take a look at. There's Zeb's front lawn. Holy cow. Yeah, the problem here right now I'm having is a lot of crabgrass is really taking over the lawn. The thing about most lawns though is they go they're going dormant, but you have some good rains and they'll come back. Should. If it goes too long without rain, then I forgot to change. Speaking of Discord, I forgot to change my when I was setting up my YouTube setup. I forgot to change it from Thursday. The thumbnail. I changed it in midstream. What's nice about the system I have for through StreamerBot that then once the stream ends, it will say the stream has ended, and where you can go to watch the VOD. Automation is a great thing, I'll tell you. But I don't have a super huge yard. I forget the square footage. I definitely have what you showed, Zeb, is just a portion of what I have in my front. And where it used to take me 45 minutes to mow my lawn, now because it hurts so much at times, it could take me an hour and a half to mow my lawn. I've gotten it done in an hour. If I don't, there's some days where I can go really good in that. But we do a lot of lawn, bagging of our lawn clippings. I don't like to, especially when the lawn gets too tall. Mulching it doesn't really help. It clogs up the soil. So I had 3 bags of recycling or of lawn clippings, which I did Monday because Tuesday we have our pickup. And then I had a mow. When did I mow? Thursday? No. Yeah, I had a mow. No, I mowed Friday. I forget again, but I raised my mower up a little bit. From a driveway on the left to where it meets the nabout is only 16 feet, and they had a small wall. To ours is just like 10 to 12 feet. Okay. We live on our street is a bit we live on a curve, so our property is a bit pie shaped. So we're lucky. I guess kind of lucky, but we have more lawn in the back of the house than we do on the front. And I would rather have a larger backyard. I mean, most of our lots are the same size, but it depends on if you're one of the straight intersections, of course, your lawn is your property is square, but we're on a wedge. So our plot is like pie shaped. Yeah, UK is some small, well, that's most of Europe. Most of Europe, especially in the cities, even Chicago. Chicago plots are not Big cities. I mean, as you get towards downtown and that, where things really start out, there's like no lawns in some areas, and houses are just right next to each other, which make great for a nice neighborhood. But we're out here in the suburbs. We're about 40 miles outside of Chicago, and we're in they just built this subdivision back in 92 when we bought, 91, 92, they started building this subdivision. And pretty decent plots. The house is pretty nice. Let's see if I can. Oh, here we go. I can show this. Let me start it over again. This was a rain last month. This is what we had. That's the front of my house. That was a pretty rough day. A couple tornadoes are reported. But this is this front portion is actually an attached garage. And these homes, and you can kind of see like the homes across the street. The front of the house, the front door sits back. Not quite neighbor friendly, whereas where I grew up in the city, it was kind of more of a bungalow style, not older bungalow. I think the home we lived in for a while was built in the 50s. We had moved into it in 61. And no front garages, we had no garage actually at our house, just a driveway on the side where you just had a front porch and you talk to all your neighbors. You can sit on your front porch. You won't see anybody coming from the left. You may see some people coming from the right, but you can't see, no one sits on their porches out here. It's not, everybody's got their, neighbors are friendly, but it's not like in the city. Everybody kind of keeps to themselves. Rain, stuff the tornadoes. Well, we had a tornado hit. So was that back in May? Maybe early June. Touchdown 2.5 miles from us. It was pretty bad.
Welcome Kodiak Lamer to the stream.
Cody! What up, Cody? So yeah, that was pretty good. That was a pretty good rain. Oh, here was this was right before the tornado hit. This was the clouds that we have. I couldn't get a full shot, but look at that shelf. Look at that. It's like one of those clouds that the aliens. This one was when was this one taken? June 24th. This was June 24th. that the alien movie Independence Day, where like the alien ship comes out of the clouds. I expected an alien ship to come out of this. Pretty scary stuff. Let's see. What else do I have here I can show without doxing myself? What else do I? So how's things going with you, Cody? How's the weather been in Southern Illinois?
Welcome Paul R73 to the stream.
Paul! Here's totally different. This was my grandmother's house. This is where my dad grew up on the south side of Chicago, near 39th Street, 39th in California. It used to be green. It was green shingled on that, and they painted the porch. That door is still there. When I introduced my grandmother to she wasn't my wife yet, but my girlfriend, to Stephanie, we sat on this porch, and she asked Stephanie, "Would you like a highball?" And this is where my totally different. But this attic up here, that's where my dad and his brother used to sleep. No insulation. He said in the summer times they would sweat, and in the wintertime freeze. But I did a Google search one day. I'm looking at some old houses that relatives lived in and that. Most of these are too old now. I gotta get some newer stuff. Here last summer, this guy was stuck in the fence, so I got him out. I had to be really careful. It's a snapping turtle. Zeb doxed himself. Yeah, I think some people know where I live. I'm not particularly too worried about it. Swanley, Kent. But there we have in our subdivision we have actually three wetlands, but we're in between two of the bigger ones. And this guy must have been going from was going from one to the other. And I'm mowing my lawn, and I'm like, who put a rock under the fence? He must have been trying to dig through and got caught under the fence. And I ended up digging in front of him and that, but this was a big dude. Isn't that like Gamera, the Japanese flying turtle? I don't know if my nephew came home. My nephew is he married a young lady from the UK. She lives out in Norwich. Um, I think he plans to move over there. He's still waiting for his complete visa to go through. So I may have you do a Zeb. I may hit you up to do a punk, because when we first met my nephew's fiance, he brought her to the library my wife works at, and my wife had never met her before, had never not seen her or anything, and she started talking to my wife. I'm new to the area, and she's actually she was born in Ireland and moved to England to work in that. So she still got a bit of that Irish. And she was, that's right here. I got a picture of the turtle here on the fence. But she was punking my wife, and my nephew, I guess, her nephew is actually it's her nephew, was behind a bookshelf videoing the whole thing. It was funny. This is where I found it. He was stuck under the fence here. Look at that. So I dug a trench out here and he finally got himself out. Oh, that's the most definite, Cody. If not this year, I don't know, next year. Next year's our big vacation year, so I don't know if we'll get, but we definitely want to get to Metropolis again for the Superman Festival. But Zeb, yeah, I might have you do a punk. Get you and like Martin and Alan all show up at the house at one time. Tell 'em, my power is far reaching. You think you're safe in England? No. Here we go. Here you go, Cody. We can get a picture in front of this sign. Or we could be like my son and we can get a picture of her under Superman's nads. How's that? Actually, maybe going up to Minnesota in October. My the karate school that my son belongs to is having they're originally from Minneapolis area. They're having a Grand Nationals tournament that my son is going to join. And while I'm up there, I plan to meet a OBS plugin developer. I won't talk about it too much. Nova chartered the balls drop for New Year's. How Cody stand up there with his hands, he's walking back and forth. How you doing, Nova? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Oh my. You grab one nut, I'll grab the other. Oh God, when we were kids, we tell someone to stand with their arms up in the way, like up and their hands like this. And then we tell them to take 3 steps forward and then 3 steps backwards, and then 3 steps forwards, and then 3 steps backwards, and then 3 steps. And then we'd ask them how they feel about jacking off the Jolly Green Giant. Whoa. You're not safe on this stream. If you're looking for family friendly, go to the neighbors. Oh, excuse me a second. Oh,
Here is the movie quiz game boss.
where did that come from? Where did that come from? I don't have that scene anymore. Did I not take that out? Let me find my script. You met another one of your streamer friends last weekend. If I had known something, actually, a buddy of mine, his wife and one of his daughters and son-in-law and his sister, they went out east and they went through Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and then I don't know where else they went to, but his daughter and son-in-law took a flight home. His sister was down in Boston, and she took a train to Chicago from Boston. I knew she was down there. I'd have her punk. No. There's a store in Metropolis called Big John's. Well, the owner had to get an apron on him because people kept giving him a Big John. Where's my scripts? That's not the one. Let's see, where is it? Voice control. That's what I'm looking for. Voice control.
Here is the right camera boss.
Wow, it's not. Either my audio might be wrong. Computer, right monitor.
Here is the right monitor boss.
Oh, I gotta take this out. Well, I might as well actually just change this. So Cody, I made my own to-do list. Whoops. Camera, middle monitor, left monitor. Oh, I don't have left camera anymore. You take that out. All right, let's save that. Computer, to do. Computer to do. Well, maybe I have to, this has to be updated before I go live. How about we change this to? Well, maybe I have to change that. Okay. Computer to-do list. Computer main view.
Here is the main view, boss.
Computer to-do list. Yeah, file probably because it's running now. It's picking up. So here I made a to-do list that works in the stream for me and for moderators. And it is and it's pretty quick with the command. I can I should make the syntax a little bit better, and you can delete by number, and then it changes the number in the next one. So I know there's Pomodoro out there. I think that's what it's called. There was one that I was using, but I don't need a timer. I don't need this other stuff. This is just to say, hey, these are things that I want to do on my stream. That I set this up. And then I can do and we'll clear the whole list. So it's basically just 3 commands. One to do though. Andy had made a long one, and it didn't wrap the text. It stopped at the line. It shows up in my HTML setup, but it doesn't show up on my screen. So I have to look at adding a wrap command to make it drop down a line. So there's the stuff that I can do, like we could come up with stuff on the stream. So it's for, right now it's just for moderators, which I don't have many, but Cody, you are a moderator. And subscribers. If anybody else tries to do it, it's not going to work. Thing is, I want to test to see if it works in YouTube. Okay, so it does not work from YouTube. Yes, we kept the banana bread from Leo. So it's made out of HTML and it's using Exeldro's HTML source plugin because that particular plugin refreshes. Like it's the default setting is 300 milliseconds. So anytime the HTML gets saved, yeah, it doesn't work for everybody, Zeb. I, uh, I'm going to be adding people to my list. I don't know if I want everybody to have this power. Not that they can't add stuff in the chat anyway, you know. Oh, you're special, Cody. You are so special. But it's running through the chat. It's running through StreamerBot, and yes, I did. Much to the Linux Saloon chagrin, I did use AI to help me make this. So hate me. But I do want to. But let's see, what can I, so in case this accidentally gets cleared, at the end of the stream, I think I can easily create a copy of that HTML and save it in case. Or actually what I can do is I can just have a simple text on the side and have it append and just keep all the to-do lists. Yeah, I can do that. Do a write to file. And that will just save to a simple text list that I can save. Yeah. But yeah, that's I was working on that. Computer main view. And despite what
Here
Nate
is the
would
main
have,
view, boss.
thank you, dear. Nate would have everyone believe I am still on Bazite. Well, Nate. I mean, you and I have known this, and you probably known this much longer. I think you've been on Linux much longer than I have. But when it comes to Linux, use the distribution that you feel happy and have enjoy and just enjoy. Depending on what you want to do, what you want to learn, what you want to have fun with. Just enjoy it. Cody's on Debian testing and Debian stable for server. You see, I couldn't see using Debian for what I do. I know you can do testing in that, but I did have Wednesday. Yeah, it was Wednesday. Endeavor did.
Welcome, Bitch A, to the stream.
Hello, Bit. I did have Endeavor bite me in the ass. I'm not sure how it did it. Went to start getting ready to stream Wednesday to do some geoguessing. And all of a sudden, all my display captures, pipe wire capture was gone. I do my updates every Friday. I don't do them during the week. So there should have been no reason why anything updated or why OBS changed. But for some reason in the system, pipe wire capture disappeared. And I had to rebuild. And this is the bad part about using Arch. You know, OBS has to be, and it takes a while. It could take 20 minutes easily for OBS to rebuild. But it was an hour. It actually ends up being an hour out of my life. I was a little aggravated, but you know, it was, you know, it happens. But no one can tell me on any distro or even on Windows that they've never had a problem is a liar. I'm sorry. How you doing, you Mr. Bit? He's a bit shady, that character, I'll tell you. So far, Ubuntu 26.04 kernel, there's a bug where the computer goes to sleep, random moment, the screen will stay black, but revives. Input sounds, only fixes a hard reboot. The only problem is when you muck around too much. Yeah, I don't muck around too much. I had reached out to the forum, and whether it had to do, because they had locked down the AUR for a couple of days because of the last attack. And I guess there were some updates. So I do use 49 things from the AUR. 41 of them have to deal with OBS. So OBS, the Titan build is what I use. That's going to give you the build that you would get like on Ubuntu through the PPA. And then most of the plugins, you know, are through the AUR. Now I'm learning how to get them built myself, so I don't have to deal with that. A good example, the HTML source plugin from Exeldro. I downloaded that. It's a .deb package. Well, .deb doesn't work, of course, on Arch, but you can extract the files out of that .deb because it's basically a build file, right? It just builds. And I went in and I found the HTML source.so, and I knew what file to put that in, and then the data package and that, and it worked fine. I didn't have to use the AUR or anything like that. Yeah, Cosmic, I was really, I was a real fan of Pop! OS. Just what they, you know, like with the extensions that worked and all that, and how stable it was. But Pop Cosmic, as much as I kind of like the look, The desktop itself is still there. When I tested OBS out on it, I couldn't dock. I couldn't dock any of the docks. I couldn't move docks. They would pop off the screen and not go back. It was a real pain in the ass. Now, at the time, I forget where I saw it at or read it at. It was said to have been a combination of Wayland, NVIDIA, and Rust that was causing the issue. I have since been told, no, I'm wrong from the OBS forum, but that's okay. But I attempted to try to do my setup on Linux Mint, which is still 2404, but I wanted to get to an easier setup. And when I mean easier to install OBS, easier to install the plugins. Why not try the OpenSUSE build service? It will convert packages to the type you need. Do I have to be on OpenSUSE? I tried OpenSUSE and it just wasn't for me. Cody says, me and my girlfriend share a laptop, went to settings, search in settings, users, didn't find it, manually clicked everything, setting around. When I typed the name, my text field was focused on the search bar and inputs one letter. I had to reboot it to fix it. Then my Wi-Fi randomly forgot its password. Oh boy. I will check that out. I mean, I so far have built one plugin, my background remover. That's OBS background removal light. I built that because it doesn't come. It's no one had it in the AUR. There is a background removal, but that one uses a lot of resources in that. And that not every, because it's going to depend, I think, on the dependencies in that. Not every OBS pack, Linux package may be able to just be dropped in and placed. But I got lucky with the HTML plugin. Really? So it would convert to an Arch build. Let's take a look. All right, the OpenSUSE build service is a public instance of open build service used for development of SUSE and to offer packages from some source for Fedora, Debian, Ubuntu, blah, blah, blah. Cody says it's very nice. Yeah, there's a bit of work. OpenSUSE just wasn't as user friendly. But I'm very happy on Endeavor OS. And like I said, like last Wednesday when things messed up, it took me about an hour. And you don't have to use OpenSUSE, okay. All right, I'll have to. Let's see, let's do this. Here it says you cannot use OpenSUSE build service directly ingest a .deb file and convert it to Arch Linux package, OBS build packages from raw source code. Oh, I'm sure Nate will tell me all about it. But I guess you can, there's a package for Arch DebTap. And you can use DebTap to do it, huh? All right, I'll check that out. Paul says if you say OpenSUSE 3 times, Nate will appear. Well, how many times did I say it? Twice? Oh, I better be careful. I better be careful. Or you can listen to Matthew of Lutris on the Next DL edition, and he talked about someone moaning about building software for Linux and too many types to build for each one. Yeah, I mostly use, like I said, majority, wait, is that in my documents? Yeah. So I made a list because if you run yay-qm, you'll get a list of everything that you've installed from the AUR. And I broke it down. I have 49 packages, but 41 are for OBS alone. Non-OBS is
coffee. Anybody want coffee? I'm making coffee. I'm having a cup of coffee. Does anybody want coffee? Because I'm having a cup of coffee.
Thanks for the fresh pot, Cody. Appreciate that. App Image Launcher, because you need, I know there's another program out there, but if you use App Images, you need App Image Launcher. And then for my brother printer, I got two things. DroidCam, which I'm not using anymore, that's for OBS. GDM settings, a rounded blur. So that was to update a early release of the extension blur, which gives you the glass effect like on Mac. But pretty much all these have to do with AUR. So I kept a list of who packaged them. Majority of the ones I get are from Titan, who builds the OBS package I use. So I know those are safe. And then a certain person has packaged a number of them. That way I can keep a list of what's changing if they happen to change. So that's what I got going on there. But yeah, but most of my system pack, like my software and that is flat packs. I use App Image for Touch Portal for my tablet. I use App Image for my YouTube Music. I use App Image. Now I have StreamFog where you can do all those crazy things. I have not tried that yet on Linux. I've used it on Windows, but that's an App Image. And then Social Stream Ninja is an App Image. So I only have 4 app images in that, but I need the App Image Launcher. Way too organized, mate. Let me at it for a week. You don't know, Zeb, you don't know how hard it is for me to stay organized. And this is scary, you know. I think my wife said, where's my husband and what have you done with them? But, you know, so, you know, oops, no, not that desktop. So like all my scenes I renamed so I can find them so much easier. I'll tell you, this makes a big difference. And my sources in that makes a big difference. But I have to work hard. You just bully around until your brain remembers something. Yeah. Well, when I was talking earlier about my to-do list that I worked on, just 3 commands, right? Just 3 commands. I remembered one. But I think the command clear to do is fine, but I think done to do, I'm going to change that command to do done. And then you put the number in there. That's a little more, you know, all in one word, to do done. You do a to-do list and then forget where you put it or forget to update it, so don't bother anymore. Well, you know, and this is more for engagement. Let's see. I add this on my tablet here so I can know what to do. There we go. So it adds, you know, I can have certain people do a to-do list and all that, and we can add stuff to this to add a little bit of an engagement. And like I said, I'm going to create a backup for it. So I have it so I don't kind of forget, or just keep appending a list and edit the list as I go through. But it's more for engagement. That was a long ad break. Sorry about that. Usually it should just be 3 minutes, which is long, but every hour. That way, I could do little ones in between. Because actually making money off the ads are very little, but you have to have so many, you set up so many minutes. Thank you, buddy. I found out I could do this in my chat now. I can add Giphies. And this chat overlay is by Nutty. Well, thank you. I always appreciate it. But he says, I'm planning to use Twitch more than just because another streamer I switched to Twitch from YouTube. So using YouTube as my learning environment and small entertainment, and Twitch is my main.
Welcome, Antique Mold, to the stream.
Hello, Antique Mold. Welcome to the stream. Let's see. Here's Cody at work. You didn't think we caught you, did we, Cody? Huh? Did you? Did you? No. Hope your boss doesn't see this. See, what kind of fun do we have, right? Did you read about the Twitch update on AI that allows Twitch to use stream? Yeah, I turned mine off. The when asked about it, one of the Twitch top guys said, you know, oh, why wasn't it opt-in? Because no one would opt in. You know, it's appreciate it a bit. I try to keep up on stuff. Doesn't always work, but doesn't always work. So what are you up to, Antique Mold? The things we can do on stream. More important, why was it not widely advertised to streamers? Yeah, exactly. Because probably from the Amazon overlord. By the time they figure it out, our AI will grab all that information and they can turn it off, but it's already too late. You like the voice bot? You're working on your Windows XP Twitch chat? Cool. It's fun. That I can go computer, right camera, and not have to hit a button.
Here is the right camera boss.
Hi. Computer, main view. She's gonna get so mad at me.
Here is the main view boss.
I don't have to hit buttons. No. No. I have extremely gnarly stuff. You would like for the chat to be able to use your built-in Microsoft mic voice. I figured out a way for them to open my disk tray with a chat command. Oh, wow. Yeah, most of mine is just set up for with OBS CMD. I'm sure there's other ways I can set up voice for other things on the computer. I haven't looked into that far because I've only been interested in being able to control OBS. Things I want to add though is maybe muting the mic, or when I'm on a certain desktop. So like we'll say I'm on here, but I'm going to sign in somewhere and I don't want to drag it off screen. I set up a blur. and then an off. I've got that on two of my main monitors in case I have to change something or I don't want anybody to see it, or if I drop my drawers. Yeah, unfortunately, about 5 minutes here, I'm going to have to jump off. My wife is getting ready for work, and I want to say goodbye to her before she goes to work. But the inbuilt Windows chat and type works really well. I think it's Windows plus H to turn it on, and then you talk and it types. It's pretty accurate too, but does make regular errors. On Windows, I use my my voice control through SpeakerBot. Actually, no, it is StreamerBot. StreamerBot connects voice control to the Windows voice control. But of course, on Linux, we have no voice control. So, just easily make a script and you're good. Windows, isn't that OS that always tracks you? I don't go nowhere with it. It tracks me right at home. Oh my God, Antique Mold is on an authentic XP 2005 computer. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can, and this has been discussed many times on a Linux Saloon, and some people, I think you can only, you can only go so far with your privacy if you're online. I don't care what you do. There is going to be some way for these fuckers to find out what you're doing through their browsers and that, or, through, forget Google and all that. What about your IP? Your ISP, I mean, your ISP. What about your intercept service? They have everything unless you're using a VPN. And then your VPN, if you're using a free VPN, you're an absolute, you're an absolute flat earther. And if I guess to get maybe halfway decent, you need a paid one. But our privacy, the moment we're online, our privacy is out the window. We do this streaming, our privacy is out the window. So you can reduce try to reduce what they see, but it's not going to help so much. That's my opinion. Yes, you can minimize the footprint, but again, I'm a streamer. That's already out the window. Then you guys join me for the, in the chat. Yeah, you can probably be a bit private, but you don't have to sign in. But if you want to interact, you need to be signed in. I don't get into tinfoil and black helicopters and all that stuff. And then, but we can add to that all these data centers we were talking about earlier aren't just for AI. And if you think they're just for AI, and they're looking to, I mean, they're already doing it. You got all these flock cameras going up. You have municipalities, at least here in the States. I'm not sure how it is. I know, like, Zeb in the UK, Zeb in England, London is probably has got more cameras per capita than any place else in the world. But these businesses, I don't think it's Flock, but there's another security video system that municipalities are making businesses put in, especially new businesses, that they can dial in at any time they want. When I hear a story, was it, I think John Oliver, late this week, last night, or whatever his program is, a couple weeks ago, did an excellent one on Flock and all this stuff. They tracked a dude that went from, I forget what state, is marijuana legal in Michigan or is it in Wisconsin? But this guy went from either state, went from, we'll say from Wisconsin to Michigan to buy some pot from a dispensary and back, and they tracked him on Flock the whole way. But have him try to find a car in a robbery, right? Like downtown Chicago has all these smash and grabs where they drive a car into a window. But they need these data centers for all that stuff. So it's not just AI. And I know Flock has a lot to do with it. Wisconsin is the only current NFC North state where it's not legal. Okay. So the person must have went from Wisconsin to Michigan. And they tracked them all the way on Flock. What the Flock? It may not be legal in Wisconsin, but you know it's there. Boy, when we went to Summerfest on the 4th of July, they were just, it was like out in the open. You know, I don't know, you know, people walking, smoking their joint. It's like, wait, let me get behind this person. A lot of stuff in that. But in October, I'm going to be heading up to Minnesota. Going to go up to Minneapolis. What the Flock? Yeah, you know. And soon there'll be, you know, everything that you say is gonna, you know, it's pretty much recorded anyway. YouTube transcribing this and all that. So they'll have the words, you know. But if you're not doing anything illegal, you're okay. Yeah. All right, my friends. My wife's getting ready for work. I want to see her before she goes. We've been on 2 hours and 20 minutes. That was great. Although, so I have on my tablet a streaming button that tells me how long I've been streaming, and this thing is really off. It's telling me I've been streaming for 8 hours and 8 minutes. Nancy Reagan got it right. Just say no. Do you mind having a joint? No. Do you mind having another hit? No. Do you mind having a beer with that? No. Like the joke, girl going out with a boyfriend. My dad said to say no to everything that you ask me. Do you mind if I touch your butt? No. Do you mind if I touch? All right. With that, computer, time to say goodbye.
Thank you all for stopping by.
Thank you, computer. All right. I really appreciate you guys joining with me and chatting with me. Great. Always Zeb. But we're going to see Andy wasted some channel points. And Cody. Andy as a subscriber. Thank you, Andy. So on Twitch today, Andy, Caffeinated Lennox, Cody, Nova, Zeb, Bit, Antique Mold, over on YouTube, Metal Music, Leoman, Zeb again, and Paul. All right, my friends, I will be on Tuesday with some, I call it now Tech Tuesday, or Tuesday Tech Chaos, or Tech Chaos Tuesday, whatever. Thank you for joining me. I really much appreciate it. You guys take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.